All right, so it took a few days for me to be able to get down here and just make this video for all of you guys who recently subscribed to Twist and Tap. Glad to have you guys here. Thank you guys so much. And for this video, if you guys could smash the like button, I would truly appreciate it. But I'm going to get into my thoughts of both nights 1 and 2 and let you guys know what I think about the entire PLE, including some news that's hitting the way. So, yeah. If we scroll down, we'll start with night 1. All right, so here it is. Saturday results, right? So I will start from the bottom. We had the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair defeated Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez on the Judgment Day. And the cool thing about this is that the chemistry between Charlotte and Alexa is just it's just way too funny. It's very comical, and I can see why they put Charlotte with Alexa. Charlotte has been getting a lot of backlash from fans when she has pursued a singles title, namely out of the women's world championship or the women's WWE championship. When she's in the mix as a running contender, she has caught backlash from fans. So, putting her with Alexa has been really good because you could see the fans' reactions have shifted from boos to cheers because they're loving this dynamic between Alexa and Charlotte. We're not friends. And you can just see it, like, Charlotte's trying to play it off every time where she's like, we could be, whatever this is, like she just tried to throw it off and people just say it. You guys are friends. So it's a very good chemistry that I see going on there, especially when they came out on Raw afterwards and we're talking about their victory. Charlotte grabbed Alexa's belt and hoisted it up in the air. Alexa comes walking behind Charlotte and just unsnaps it and pulls it from her waist and raises it in the air. And it's just like, it is funny. It is absolutely funny. That match in itself, I thought was pretty decent. If I had to rate it, I have a 5-star scale, so I'm going to rate it at a 3.2. There were just some things, from the Judgment Day side that I thought was just a little iffy. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens since basically Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez lost the Women's Tag Team Championship, which technically the original holder of the title with Raquel was Liv Morgan. So it'll be very interesting to see what Liv Morgan does when she comes back from injury. Also, we had, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso basically opening night 1. Against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. And this pretty much set the pace to me to know that there was going to be something at the end of night 1 that was going to transpire, because Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed came out, their focus, basically going after Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Of course, Jey and Roman take the victory. I've been posting, if you guys saw the post here on the feed, you guys saw the post that I talked about with Bronson stealing Roman's shoes. And my daughter, who watches wrestling with me, my daughter was like, oh, he kind of reminds me of somebody that, their parents couldn't afford Jordan, so he's going to go and bully somebody and take it. And I'm like, But, very interesting because, if you guys didn't know, Braun and Jey are like best friends out, off camera. Off camera, they travel together. Braun is a funny guy. Him and Jey, they joke around quite a bit. So it's funny because when they're in the ring, you can feel the chemistry there of this bitterness between factions, between Roman's side and Seth's side. And yeah, it's so crazy, but for sure, pretty good match in and of itself. 3.3 is what I rated it and everything like that. Love Jay's switch up with his ring gear, switching to those shorts again, kind of paying homage to his earlier days when he was teaming with his twin brother as the Usos, when they used to come out with their face half painted, doing the haka, which is a warrior chant dance. Polynesians know what that is. And so, yeah, pretty good match in itself. Then we had the women's championship match, Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. I felt like Jade Cargill got screwed on this one. It's like, what the Jeebus is going on here? Tiffy time. Of course, people love Tiffy time. They love Tiffany Stratton. They're happy with the fact, for how long she's carried the women's championship. I feel like Tiffany dropping the belt to Jade would have been damaging to her image at all whatsoever. I feel like that, I look at wrestlers and I see if they need a strap to elevate them, and there are wrestlers who can be elevated without needing a title on them. And Tiffany has reached that point, in my opinion, where she doesn't need the strap, to be over with the fans, to be over with the crowd. And so if she was to have dropped the belt to Jade, I thought that would have been a pretty good look. But I don't know, maybe they might be trying to hype up this feud between Tiffany and Jade. I mean, tomorrow we'll find out on SmackDown where it goes from there. But I would love to see, a chase for the title. Hopefully they don't just shift it and find a new number one contender and all that. I think that would be detrimental to Jade's growth. Jade is like, and this is so weird. Somebody has said it, and I'm not trying to rub people the wrong way, but I feel like that WWE has been overly critical of Jade Cargill and how she does in the ring. I know they want her to perform at the level that they expect, with all talent on the roster, but I just feel like they've been very critical on her. So, to be quite honest, hopefully they do something good with this. But, Tiffany won, so she walked out on night one with the Women's Championship. Then you got Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul versus Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. And, I mean, by the way, that match with Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill was like a 2.5. I forgot to rate it. Jelly Roll, Randy Orton, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, that match, it was like, to me, it was like a throwaway match. It was like a filler just to get us over to the main event of the night. So I feel like that, with, I don't know. I mean, I know some fans were upset. They were like, why didn't they give the win to Jelly Roll? And I think that was probably too predictable. It would be like, of course, Jelly Roll's going to win. He's a celebrity, guest in the ring. So to me, the finish wasn't bad. I know some fans really dislike Logan Paul because of, what he's done in the past. And I'm not even going to go touch into that. That'll probably be for another video, talking about if everyone considers Logan Paul an actual, superstar wrestler in WWE, or is he just one of those wannabe fly-by-nights that people are pegging him as right now. So the match was okay, but, I think Logan Paul could have done more to just kind of get a crowd reaction. I felt like that, the whole angle of Jelly getting hurt and then seeing Randy getting beaten down and deciding, fight through pain and suffering, get back in the ring. I thought that was a little too of a cliche thing. So, 2-star victory, for Logan Paul. Anyways, we had Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross, and this one really breaks my heart. Because the rumors are out there, Karrion Kross is not re-signed with WWE after his contract expires. Him and Scarlett are bailing out of WWE, which I felt like they dropped the ball on Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross is one of the wrestlers that I really, really like, and I felt like they could have done more with him. They really could have done an angle with him and the Wyatt Six. There's just so many things they could have done with Karrion Kross. I love the, this attitude of the devil came to Long Beach type of thing, where he's just trying to make everybody go heel, but not really go heel, but just like trying to tell them, tap into that inner rage. And so he was working his way on Sami Zayn. Of course, Sami Zayn got the victory in that match. It's a 3.1 star match, in my opinion. And it was just, it was just sad. It's sad that WWE is not really going to do much. I mean, he's really tried. Like, he's opened up about what Bill Goldberg gave him as advice, and yes, the whole shoot he did where he said what he said, and he told the guy in the suit to go F himself, and he's like, and that's from Killer Kross. And that's when you knew things was real, because, I mean, I don't understand why WWE changes people's names to that degree. I don't know. I guess the word killer was not, in the best interest in their mind. But everyone knows what he goes by, Killer Kross. So this Karrion Kross, switch up. I mean, like, he did what he did, for the company. I'm going to miss him. I'm going to miss Scarlett. We can see Scarlett on YouTube with her YouTube channel along with Shotzi, and they go to these haunted places. It's a really cool show. Definitely go check that out. And I don't know if he goes to AEW like people expect he's going to. I mean, we'll see what AEW does with him. And I'm pretty sure within the first year of AEW, he's going to become AEW World Champion. We'll have to see. Now comes into the controversial moment, which is the World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Gunther, and that's a 4.7. I have to start off by rating it because I thought it was a very good match. I love the dynamic in the ring. I love the fact that, it was like the David versus Goliath aspect there without really having anyone to have to promote that idea. listening to commentators talk, they really didn't push on that. You just felt it, right? CM Punk, as old as he is, from the injuries that he's had in the last several years, and we were just like on our feet, wondering if he was actually going to be able to pull off the victory. And when he finally pulled off the victory, it was a heartfelt moment. My daughter cried with it. She could just feel the emotion off of him when he won the World Heavyweight Championship, defeating Gunther cleanly. I love the way that the ending went down. But like I said, when Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed had their match with Roman and Jay, they stayed very composed, because after Punk won the World Heavyweight Championship, my rating for the Ruse of the Century is a 5. Even though I didn't like it, I'm with the fans out there who thought that was pretty much, BS, that they did this to Punk in the ring. Like, they should have at least let him have a title run longer than 5 minutes and 10 seconds. But then again, I see what they were kind of doing here. The Ruse of the Century to kind of match up against the Heist of the Century. And so, that made sense 10 years ago. And then on top of that, you got Drew McIntyre trolling, talking about his 5 minutes and 26 seconds was longer than Punk's 5 minutes and 10 seconds. So it really kind of brings up to like a really good angle, and I'm really interested in seeing where this feud goes. I thought it was strange that on Monday Night Raw they had LA Knight challenge for the World Championship. I don't know if him and Punk are going to be on the same page, or if he's going to hold animosity towards Punk. I hope they don't divert Punk's path to the World Heavyweight Championship by having him feud with LA Knight and going down that rabbit hole or whatever else. We do know that Roman Reigns is going to be out for a while filming the Street Fighter movie, as he plays the character of Akuma, aka Gouki. So we'll have to see what happens down the road, but we won't be seeing Roman for a little while. So of course he's going to be out for a little bit of time, and then he'll be back to grace us with his presence. Who knows? Maybe at War Games. We'll have to see. But yeah, I was upset, just as many people were. And then those who are Seth Rollins fans who feed off his coattails and everything, chill the hell out, right? It was wrestling. I mean, we all like things and we all dislike things, but it's never the same across all fans. So as much as you love telling the CM Punk fans to, STFU, take that same advice right back at you, because that's what all this is. It's the reaction is what's important to the company, especially with the predicament that they're in. That's for another video, so be expecting that to drop. Now we'll go to night 2, and in night 2 we have the Women's World Championship match. 4.6 rating on this one. I do love the dynamic that they had there. Love the way that Naomi got the victory. I know a lot of people are kind of frustrated with Naomi as the Women's World Champion, but you know what? It's working its way out. It's panning out pretty good, right? Like, Jade Cargill doesn't win the Women's Championship, but Naomi does. So this just gives more for Naomi to feed in her feud with Jade if they're going to continue that feud any further down the road. Yeah, she could say that. She can say she was champion before Jade was. She was this before Jade was, right? So I'm glad that they're starting to take Naomi seriously. The way that, that she got the victory, pinning Rhea, I mean, that was just icing on the cake, right? So, we'll see what they have in store for Naomi. But like I said, 4.7, hit it right there with that. Moving up to the WWE Tag Team Title 6-pack TLC match. My Jesus, this was a great one. I mean, I'm already having visual memories of the match in itself. Of course, the Wyatt 6 pretty much took the victory on that with a 4.8 star rating in the match in itself. I love the fact that even in this whole ordeal with the TLC match, that, you had, like, what's her name? Candice LeRae. You had her come in. You had Abigail the Witch, aka Nikki Cross, come in. I mean, it was just funny to have, like, all these people just kind of enter in. Uncle Howdy got involved, and a lot of people were just like, wait a minute, this is cheating now, because you have the entire Wyatt 6 involved. And you got Team DIY that's got Johnny's wife who's gotten involved, and I was just like, man, this was such a messy match, but in a good way. And love the fact that they got that victory. The Wyatt 6 retains the titles. They are still tag team champions. Interesting to see what they're going to do with the Wyatt 6. I see this momentum building, but to be quite honest, and maybe my opinion is just unpopular with everybody, but I would love to see the Wyatt 6 go heel. Full on heel, so they can really embrace that dark monster vibes that the late great Bray Wyatt was always projecting in his heel persona, right? Fans didn't hover to to Bray Wyatt because he turned face. They just generally liked him. The fans are the ones who flipped him face. He was still heel when the fans really got on Bray Wyatt's side. So very interesting to see what what Uncle Howdy does with the Wyatt Six. And because of the dynamic with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss is the reason why that I feel like it's great that Alexa's not with the Wyatt Six and that she's with Charlotte on that. And this is where I feel like that they could have capitalized on Karrion Kross. If Bray's brother, Bo Dallas, or Taylor Rotunda, if he wanted to step away from WWE, Karrion Kross could have been the right person to lead the Wyatt Six going forward. If you've never watched the YouTube channel, It Begins Again, which was a great little channel creating these little vignettes for, The Fiend and Bray Wyatt when he was gone from WWE for that time before he came back. Karrion Kross was doing some of those skits in there with him. And even with the mention of the Wyatts going to MCW, and Karrion Kross was part of that. So, I would love to have seen, Karrion Kross maybe take over the Wyatt Six. Even if Taylor wanted to take some time off just to kind of still, just pull himself out of all these mental things he's going through. I think that would have been a great way to keep Karrion Kross in WWE and do something, worthwhile with him instead of, giving him all these crap things that just he doesn't like and is unhappy with. A little bit later after that, we get the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, the IC title for the women's division. Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, and the way that kind of went out for Becky to continue to stay the women's IC champion, while Lyra's obviously going to enter into a feud with Bayley, who interfered in that match, costing Lyra the championship. That match in itself was a 3.3 star rating, in my opinion. Lyra really came out of the gates on that one. I really felt like this hunger for the title, which I'll be honest with everybody, when Lyra won the IC championship before, I didn't feel that from her, so I guess that's why the IC Women's Championship felt a little stale to me, but I felt it that night. Sunday night, I felt it, and I was like, man, I was really rooting for her to get back the championship, because Becky is one of those wrestlers, like I said, doesn't need a strap for her status to be elevated in WWE. She doesn't need one. But I see where they're going with it. They're going to have Lyra feud with Bayley. We'll see how that goes. Because obviously we're going to get this feud with Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch. We'll see how that goes. So, big shout out to both Becky Lynch and Lyra, but Becky retains. Then we got the United States Championship match, which I thought was a bunch of HS. Solo Sikoa retaining, obviously, with his MFTs basically coming to his aid to help him out. I suspected that to happen. I suspected Jimmy to come out. What I thought would have happened was Roman and Jay came out to come out and help, but they didn't on night 2. So I figured that would have been a great way for Roman and Jay to just get in there and just kind of help out. Helping Jacob, just kind of building a strong, alliance, and even creating something that could have gone at War Games, right? We could have had 2 different War Games matches where, Roman and Jay, I'm sure they could have pulled double duty at Survivor Series and done that. But unfortunately, Solo Sikoa retains. That match in itself with a 2.9, and here's why. It's not has anything to do with Jacob Fatu's performance in the ring or anything like that. I gave it a 2.9 because it was too cliche on how Solo was going to retain. I would have rather had Solo retain the title in a clean, maybe not a clean, but maybe a Solo sneaky victory. You know what I mean? Without the reliance of the MFTs to build, because Solo is not one of those guys where I look at him and I think he's always weak, he's always pathetic type of thing, that he needs people around him, right? Like Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins needs Braun Breaker. He needs Bronson Reed. Seth fans are going to wig out on that. It is what it is. I said it. Solo doesn't strike me as a type that would need that type of, coverage. And so to see them making him use it into that, to that benefit, it's not really overhyping Jacob Fatu. It's not making everyone believe that Jacob Fatu is just this ferocious destroyer. We already see him as that. Like, you don't need anything to amplify that view when we already see it that way. So just why not let Solo, let Solo be Solo for that one. That's what I thought. So 2.9 on that one. And then a 3.1 on the Intercontinental Championship between Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles. And it was really cool how AJ came out paying homage to Eddie Guerrero. That was awesome. The lowrider, his ring gear was really nice. course, Dominic always pays homage to Eddie. So big shout out to him. Love the fact that he's going over with the fans. Love the fact that he even got that huge pop at AAA for showing up there and holding both titles. And if they're trying to make him a dual champion, IC champion for WWE and the AAA champion, I wouldn't mind that. I would think that'd be awesome. What a way to get Dominic's career really kind of just like at that stamp of approval for longevity down the road, especially one day being a future Hall of Famer. Dominic is just doing really good. AJ and the things that he's been doing to get that IC championship match, I thought was pretty solid. I love that side of AJ, and I'm hoping the feud continues. I'm hoping that AJ is still the number one contender to Dominic Mysterio for the IC championship. It would just be a great way for AJ just to kind of like, get a strap back. He needs one at this point, not to elevate his status in WWE, but just to add another number, just another notch on the belt. AJ's just put in so much hard work in the indies, in TNA. As a matter of fact, I guess the reason why I follow him is because like I liked Airman Styles in WCW. In one of the final nights of WCW, Alan Jones debuted in WCW, and they called him Airman Styles, right? Portraying to be Air Force pilots or whatever. And then, in the indie scene, Ring of Honor, and, in TNA, just kept following him through the years. And when he came to WWE, I was superly excited. I didn't like the fact that they wanted to push this angle where they wanted to squash the indie scene by having him take on John Cena and cut these promos about, the indies versus WWE. John coming out, I wasn't built for the indies. I was built for this. Like, whatever, dude. Like, but yeah, well, I'm hoping they're going to continue that feud. And then we get the undisputed WWE Championship street fight, which a lot of people were hanging on that John Cena was going to flip heel. They were thinking that The Rock, the final boss, was going to show up, or that Travis Scott was going to be there. And it turns out Cena stayed face the entire time. As a matter of fact, the beatdown that he took with the forced signature with the contract signing with Cody Rhodes was his pivotal moment to turn and become a face again. And, there's a reason for that. But I thought the match in itself, and I'm going to rate it at a 3.7. I thought it was pretty decent. It was pretty good. John, for how old he is and how long he's been in the business and what he's been doing away from WWE. When people say that, somebody gets ring rust, and then some people are like, no, you still got it. John Cena still got it. I mean, we really didn't see much of that from the last PLEs that he was involved in title defenses, because he's always taken the shortcut out, pretty much giving us fans what we've wanted for a long time, at least a moment in time in WWE where they can say he was a heel. I mean, he was a heel before, with was it Dr. Thugonomics, and he had Bull Buchanan, as his right-hand guy. I mean, he was a heel then, but fans wanted to see that heel persona again. And we got it. We got it. Everyone's got to shut the hell up now. We got it. We got to see it. A lot of memes were made from it, but we got to see it. And then, on top of that, Cody getting the title back, it's like Cody's a company guy, you know what I mean? Like he's gonna do what's best for business, and I feel like that's exactly what it was. They wanted John Cena's retire tour. They wanted him to be champion one more time, be the Never Seen 17. He is still considered the last real WWE undisputed champion, because the naming of the title has changed. So all these rumors about there's a new belt. There wasn't a new belt. They were going to rename the championship, and it's basically renamed back to what it was before, WWE champion. So Cody is not the WWE undisputed heavyweight champion. He is the WWE heavyweight champion, right? And then you got the WWE world heavyweight champion. I don't know. These belts are just becoming so confusing and a little bit spread out. I think we do need to cut some titles here. In my opinion, they tried this before, and then, I don't know. If they cut titles again, I am just going to laugh at them for it. But anyhow, so, yeah, Cody Rhodes gets the victory. Cody Rhodes is champion. Him and John hug at the end. John gives like words of wisdom, passing the torch to Cody Rhodes. Cody obviously emotional in tears. I was like, I guess it makes sense to have Seth cash in on freaking CM Punk, even though I didn't like it, because I would have been more irate if he cashed in on Cody Rhodes after that type of ending. But there is a reason why John Cena has to go face, and I end this video on this note, because this will be another video that I will talk about specifically. But that is, we saw the return of Brock Lesnar, and Brock is better played as a heel. So now it made sense why John flipped back to his face persona. Is because I guess his last feud is going to be with Brock Lesnar, which I'm glad, because if you thought about it, every title defense that he's had over the past couple of months has been with previous opponents that I guess have highlighted moments with him. Randy Orton, CM Punk, what's his name? Even R-Truth, having a title defense with R-Truth, you know, that was I think the only person that they couldn't bring back was Batista. Batista and Triple H, because, you know, Triple H and what, you know, his heart condition. I'm sure if Triple H was like, you know, in tip-top, you know, shape, he would have probably done a title match against John Cena, just to kind of like elevate that retirement tour. So makes sense Brock Lesnar would show up, because John Cena had memorable moments against Brock Lesnar. And so what a great way to end out his retirement tour by feuding with Brock. And we get Brock Lesnar back. So who knows what we'll see down the road when it comes to the bloodline, when it comes to Paul Heyman. I know people are making little memes and they're showing like War Games. It's going to be Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and CM Punk against, you know, Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, teaming up with Solo and his MFTs. And it's just like, oh my God. You know, like wishful thinking, wishful stuff. And you know what? By right, we have every right to be, because there's still one match that we've never gotten. We've never gotten a Taker versus Sting match. In their prime, that would have been so awesome. That would have been superly badass. But we never got that, you know. But you can get WWE 2K25, and yeah, you can make the match. You can decide on the outcome. Thanks for checking out this video. My thoughts on SummerSlam 2025. What was your favorite moment from night 1 and from night 2? Comment that below. I would love to read your guys' thoughts of what you thought was the best match of the night and the reason why. Put it in the comments. Until then, talk to you on the next one.